All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 154-pound division where Keith Thurman, 154 and 135-pound division, where Keith Thurman lays into Gervonta Davis very unexpectedly and Lamont Roach, but gives a very, very good take on what took place in their fight and what has to change in this upcoming fight for either one of these guys to do enough to actually win the fight. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite fighters, Keith "One-Time" Thurman, who gave a scathing review and analysis of the Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach fight as we head into the rematch. And I want to talk about some of the observations that he made that I thought were very, very, very keen observations. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button. Also, thank you to everybody that supports in the super thanks of videos like this. It really does do a great job for the channel, and thank you guys so much. But let's get into this because I was watching Mill City Boxing. I had some time and I watched the live stream where Mill City Boxing interviewed Keith "One-Time" Thurman. Now, if you're not familiar with Keith "One-Time" Thurman, I don't know how you found my channel because, hey, you know, he's one of the best boxers we've had over the last decade, and everybody knows who Keith Thurman is. But Keith Thurman was interviewed by Mill City, and he was asked about the Gervonta Davis fight with Lamont Roach. And I thought his observations were very, very keen. Most of the observations centered around Lamont Roach, and centered around the idea that Lamont Roach had won the fight and what he believed had transpired with Lamont Roach. Basically, what his take is the following. He said that he liked the draw because neither one of these guys did enough, he believed, to win the fight. But what he really came out and said was that he believed that these guys, it was very obvious that these guys were sparring partners. And that what he saw in the fight between Lamont Roach and Gervonta Davis the first time around was nothing but a sparring match. And he said he could tell as a boxer that those guys had sparred before. So his criticism, though, I think for the most part, really revolved around Lamont Roach. And he brought up that he thought that Lamont Roach didn't do enough to win. He said that Lamont looked like he was in there to not get beaten up. Like he was going to prove a point to Gervonta that Gervonta was not going to beat him up, right? He said that was the tone that Lamont Roach had during the press conference, and that's what that's the way he fought in the fight, that he was not going to get beaten up. But what Keith Thurman said, and I thought that this was a good observation, he was like, okay, once you get to the point where this guy can't beat you up, well, why don't you go on ahead and go beat him up, right? It's not enough for Lamont Roach to just not get beat up. He has to go out there and actually beat up Gervonta Davis. So he said that he thought that Lamont Roach had some really good moments. He had really good moments on defense, but that for the most part, he just did not go for the win. And, in situations where you have, a guy like Gervonta, a guy that's already very, very proven, somebody that is, has a reputation where, in Keith Thurman's words, those guys really like them, like what Lamont Roach brings to the table. Well, the people that like what Lamont Roach brings to the table, like what Gervonta Davis brings to the table even more. So you really have to go out there and you got to try to separate yourself from Gervonta and really go out there and win, and try to win the fight. Not just go in there to try to prove a point that, hey, unlike these other guys, Gervonta Davis wasn't able to really be able to, like the words he said, beat him up. Now, my thing with this, and I always say this when I disagree with or have something to add to what a unified world champion would have to say about the sport. There's risks that come for Lamont Roach with opening up. And I think that Lamont Roach purposely did not open up. Now, I like what Keith Thurman said about the early rounds and how, we already know kind of what the path of Gervonta Davis is. Gervonta is going to start off slow like a tank. Tanks start off slow, but they're going to pick up speed in the second half of the fight. And he said that Lamont Roach did not do enough in the first half of the fight to pull it out. And because Lamont Roach did have a stronger half of the second fight. Now, what happens though if Lamont Roach tries to come out faster and really tries to come out and press Gervonta more? Well, you can slip up and wind up looking like Rolly Romero. You can slip up, wind up looking like Ryan Garcia and a various other number of people that tried to really come at Gervonta really early in the fight. But I think that the criticism could also go both ways. That, did Gervonta really do enough to go out there and secure the win for himself? I thought I scored the fight for Gervonta. And I believe that if Gervonta Davis had not taken that knee, that Gervonta probably would have won the fight because of the fact that round was up until the point that he was fighting. I thought he was winning that round. And then I think that knee and everything kind of threw him off or whatever. But that 10-9, that round was scored for Lamont Roach 10-9, 10-9. And I don't think that without a knockdown. So I think it would have been 10-9 the other way if there hadn't been a knockdown. So the refs probably already, took the point away from him. So I really think that Gervonta Davis won the fight. But looking forward to this rematch. And yeah, you got to do more if you're going to go take the belt from the champion, especially if it's a very popular champion or that a lot of the money for the organizations are riding on this guy's win. You got to kind of step up and you got to do more. But at least we'll see in the rematch whether that's the case. Gervonta also has to do something different, has to come with a different approach. Gervonta can start. If Gervonta starts faster, it'd be interesting to see how that fight would pace itself out that way. Because Gervonta probably did not like that draw very much. However, Gervonta also knows that more than likely they're not going to give Lamont Roach that fight if that fight is close. And hey, man, that may just be a situation where those guys are always going to have very close fights, and the fight is going to look like sparring. And if you are a sparring partner with somebody, their tendencies, what they're going to do. More than likely, Lamont Roach and Gervonta has fought in the amateurs, and those guys have sparred before. So who knows what it's going to wind up being. But I really do appreciate Keith Thurman's take on the matter. Man, go listen to the interview at Mill City. I thought it was very, very good. I rarely will take somebody's content and put it on here. That's why I like to explain it myself in a conversational type of tone. But definitely go over there and check out the interview. Man, really keen observations by Keith Thurman. But with that, thank you for supporting the channel. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.